Where you going with this? Who you controlling with this? You think you got some nerve? Boy, say word. Cause I'm flowing with this. I think I'm growing with this. I think you knowing with this. I'm gonna show 'em with this. Hey, you guys, it's your girl Taisha P back at you again with another podcast episode of Trust the Transformation Station, where we believe that every day is an opportunity for evolution. And I just wanted to talk to you guys and check in with you all. How you doing? And as usual, drop some gems on y'all. Pardon my voice. I've been taking these probiotics, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing the word right, but apparently I feel like I'm having what they call a Herxheimer reaction. And it's basically your body goes into a detox state where your body is getting rid of all the bad bacteria and replacing it with good bacteria. So hopefully this is over soon, but my voice is definitely suffering. So just bear with me. But today I wanted to talk about the beauty in not being seen, so that when you do create, it comes from a place of authenticity, and it actually can be a motivator to keep going. Now, I know for me personally, I started Trust the Transformation 5 years ago, and this is just a basic website on WordPress. Every now and again, posting stuff on Instagram. At certain points in time, I was consistent, but I was really trying to get my footing with everything. And I would post, be really on top of my stuff, and then stop, especially when I wouldn't see the progress I would like. And I would just get unmotivated, and I would start, stop, drop a blog post every few months, sometimes even just once a year. Has it been that? I'm not 100% sure, but definitely for a blog that I wanted to post on at least, let's say, twice a month, I was posting once every few months. So it wasn't what I envisioned as far as me showing up for my platform and showing up for my audience that I began to build and inspire and grow, because I would get that feedback. And I think because the engagement wasn't what I wanted, I just got discouraged, and I felt that this isn't really I don't want to say worth it, but it just didn't feel like something I should continue pouring into, because I didn't see the growth that I desired. But then, for one, I had the mindset shift that, am I doing this for attention, or am I doing this because I feel like this is my purpose? And I'm doing this because I feel like even if it's one person out there that connects with my content, I made it for that person, and they deserve, excuse me, for me to show up for them, and to also build a level of accountability and discipline within myself, that it's not about the likes and the validation and how many people are sharing my work, but it's about the fact that I'm building a track record of showing up for the people that are saying, we want more of you and we want more of what you offer. Because I do believe a big part of my purpose is to serve and is to encourage God's people. And especially, I have a soft spot for the creatives, because I am one myself. But bigger than that, I understand how much heart and love and time and energy that we put into our work. And we all just want to be appreciated for what our talents and skills and gifts are that we share with the world. So I took some time. I really thought long and hard about what it is that I want to do when I talk about showing up for my platform. And when I started to think about that, I realized that for one, I had to change my mindset. I had to change how I thought about growing a platform into it not just being about likes and shares and all of that good stuff. Because for one, I'm not talking about trending topics. I think that spirituality and talking about God is something that is popular. I'm not going to act like I'm the only person on the internet talking about that. But let's be real here. I'm not talking about celebrity gossip. I'm not talking about some other trending conversation that is sorry about that. Some other trending conversation that is popularized in a negative sense where it's just a sense to get distracted and to get lost in this world. Oh my gosh. Work stuff, sorry, you guys. It's not something to get lost in this world doing things that have nothing to do with anything, essentially. And when I say nothing to do with anything, I understand that everything in this world is spiritual in nature. In fact, we live in a more spiritual than physical world, although more people focus on the physical. But in reference to what I'm really getting at is a lot of people put energy and effort to things that are of this world as opposed to things that are about creating their best version and stepping into their purpose and living out loud for God and his will and being a vessel, being an example of how to live a true powerful life that is inspiring to those that want to live powerful lives and want to impact the world on a global scale for the better. I understand that that's not the conversation that makes front news headlines. And when I digested that and I digested how abnormal my message is, I began to feel more comfort at this point in my life with not getting the likes and not getting the views because it's almost expected. For me at this point, even getting 1 view, 2 views, I'm grateful because that just shows somebody else is on the frequency. But bigger than that, it shows me how much of a selected few will understand and resonate with this conversation. And we have to do the work. The people like me, the people like you that are listening to this type of information, we have to do the work to show people by example that we have something great to offer that is more everlasting, that more fulfilling, more beautiful than the temporary fleeting highs that the world's view gives you. Especially when you think about how so many things phase in and out so fast when you think about what is of the world. The trends that come and go because people get bored. And it's not easy to sustain people's attention for a long place of time because it's not fulfilling. It's like eating McDonald's. It tastes good and it's quick and accessible and easy to buy. But at the end of the day, you eat a whole meal from McDonald's, you might feel full for that 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, however long your digestive system processes McDonald's. And then before you know it, you're hungry again because it wasn't vegetables. It wasn't, real protein like a steak, or something that's more filling, something that's more sustainable, that will hold you for a longer period of time. Over here, I realized I'm not fast food. My content is not fast food. So if people don't like it, or if people don't share it and watch it and this and that, it's because I'm not fast food. So I'm not easy and accessible to everybody. And when it's my time and people get ready to want more for themselves, that's when they may be exposed to who I am. Or that's when they may stop passing up over what I have to say, because the fast food got boring. The fast food got, unfulfilling. It's crazy. I think about how there's this creator I watched, and I believe I've mentioned in a previous podcast episode, watched for years. And they have a mentee, that has been working with them for years. And I never really knew it, or I just didn't pay attention to the content they did together. I don't know what it was. Either way it goes, I noticed that they were just talking about in this random video I just decided to watch one day about their business relationship and their personal relationship, and how they started working together and, just admiring each other's growth over the years. And I'm just like, okay. And then I started to watch the mentees content, and I'm like, okay, like, this person has been flying under the radar, and I knew about who you were studying under, and I just never watched your content. And you're like a genius, low-key. Like, this is crazy. And it just showed me in a way where the level of mindset that these two individuals have, I wasn't there yet to perceive, especially the second person that I recently discovered. I wasn't there yet to perceive it. Because for me, the first individual is more relatable to who I want to be at some point. But at the same time, it was a farther enough distance where it was like, this is like a parental figure or an auntie uncle type figure where, they just giving you wise game because they really lived this life light years ahead of you. So that's really your senior to listen to them and take wise counsel. But the mentee being closer to my age, I'm sitting here like, you could be my friend. So the fact that you're living like this and you're somebody that I could be hanging out with and going to the club with, or doing something that people of my age group will typically do, the drinking, the smoking, the this and that, and you're talking about being a creator and going after your dreams and aligning yourself with God and, blooming where you're planted and trusting your journey, trusting your process and speaking my language. It was wild to me because I'm like, a lot of the people that I'm around at this age and point in life, they may like those type of quotes and stuff like that on Instagram, but honestly and truly, they're not living it. And I'm not saying that with any sense of judgment. It's more of just pointing out what is. They're not living it. And in some ways, I wasn't living it either. Not in totality. It's like I had that lukewarm, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I would want to do better, but I still was doing what I know wasn't better. And that's why I kind of came off as an imposter when creating my content internally and just wasn't consistent about it, because it's like, I have to live this life first before I try to sit here and encourage somebody else to live this life. I would feel dead wrong to be sitting here telling people to operate at a certain standard, and then me, myself, I'm not following that standard. I'm not going to be a hypocrite in that way. I'm not going to not be true to the words that are coming out of my mouth, to be acting as if I'm above reproach when I'm not. I realize that when you really decide to be different, you first must align yourself with the actions before you try to teach. And this season of my life, I'm like, I want to share my gems. And I also want to share that I'm learning these lessons just like I'm teaching them and sharing them with you all. And that's why I'm okay with getting the small viewership, getting the small engagement, because I know it won't be like this forever. And bigger than that, I'm being true and faithful to what I feel like is my purpose and is my mission, without looking for a handout first. God has already blessed me enough. And I'm not saying I'm not looking for more blessings, but what I mean by God has blessed me enough, I feel fulfilled already by simply being in creation mode. Because I wake up every day and I look at how I'm living an answered prayer. Short story about obedience to oneself, and just obedience to who you say you want to be, and taking the necessary steps to get there. I remember when I was just a marketing assistant, and I liked the job, but it got to a point where I felt like, why am I doing this? And what I mean by why am I doing this, it was almost like I felt like my skills had developed to a point where I was selling myself short. And then it wasn't only just the I'm selling myself short. It was the interactions I was having with leadership that made me feel like there needs to be a change. I'll put it like that, because I don't want to come off no way. And there needs to be a change within me at this point. Because from a young age, I've always been one to take the reins. I've always been one to say, I'm going to operate and move at a certain standard because of what lives within me. I've always deep down loved autonomy, loved being sovereign, and loved independence and freedom. And when I felt controlled, I've always felt like something was wrong. And it's not because I don't like order and structure, but I don't like tyranny. I don't like people to feel like they have to rule with an iron fist to get respect. And a lot of people do that, and I don't resonate with that, because I'm one person that when the vision is clear and makes sense, I have no problem with following rules. But when I'm confused or when it is not clear, that is when I get out of alignment and my soul is disturbed, and I don't want to be a part of what is taking place. And essentially in my marketing assistant roles, I held that role twice. I ended up feeling like that in both places that I worked for Different reasons, but I still had the similar feeling of this isn't my destination. So I had a moment where I left work and I didn't work for about 2 months. This is probably like 2022. And when I tell you, I I was scared. I was scared, I was frustrated, I was angry, I was sad. I was all over the place, to be quite honest with you. And I was kind of just all over the place, I think mainly because I didn't know where I was going to land. And I didn't know ultimately what I wanted to do. I felt like, okay, this seems like a good option. This seems like a good option. Let me try this. Let me try that. And I was just trying any and everything just to see what will actually be my next steps as far as work. And then I landed this position that I had to realize I am deserving of in the way that I want to work. And I knew one requirement for me moving forward was working remotely. I said, I want to work wherever I want. And God willing, I want to get to the point where it's whenever I want as well. That's the next prayer. But I really set in my heart, I said, I don't want to be bound to one location. The type of work I do, I don't need to be. So it just doesn't make any sense to hold myself to having to be bound in that way. So I just prayed on and meditated on it. And like I said, I landed the position that for that requirement, it allowed that to flow into my life. And then moving forward, there was another situation in which that situation ended and it was time to go on a new path again. And I found my current position, well, my current place of work. And I was able to now say, okay, I got the remote position again this time, but now it comes with a bit more stability and these other perks and these other things now that work for me even more. And I realized how much now that for me, I'm grateful to God that when I have a prayer and that I have a desire, that it comes to pass in the time it's meant to. It's mainly about fixing your eyes upon God, trusting in His will and in His way, and just taking the necessary actions that are aligned with said path that are presented to you to follow. It's not about worrying. It's not about playing God. It's not about confusing anything with being obedient to your path and making worldly desires be what takes over. I know that was a little tongue twister there, but we gonna act like that didn't happen. I'm doing this off the dome, so I'm sorry. Sometimes I'm a stutter. I'm gonna make mistakes. It's all good. I'm getting better though. I'm definitely getting better, or at least I'm gonna try to. 1% every day. But it's made me realize that right now the mission isn't about how fast can you go viral. How fast can you put out content and become the person tomorrow that everybody's watching and listening to and is going to celebrate and love, and you're going to have a million fans and everybody's going to tune in? Because that's when I'm doing it from my own strength, and I'm doing it from my own desires, and I'm doing it from my own gratification. Where I said every day is every day is an opportunity for evolution. That's not just for me. That's not just for me to win. This is for me to be a part of a tribe, be a part of a troop, be a part of a collective of people that are actively choosing to honor God and honor themselves in a way that is pleasing, not only to ourselves, but to the greater good of humanity. So I don't look at it as I'm going to just do this for my own gratification. And that was what I first did. I'll be honest, for my career, that is how I get my own gratification. In the sense of, I believe that God has used this career and me choosing this path for myself as a way, as a means to an end, to enjoy what I do for work and earn money. But what I do for work doesn't have anything to do with God. This does. And I believe that God has taught me how to recognize that my path has guided me in a way to use the tips, tricks, and skills that I learned in the workplace to bring glory to Him outside of the workplace. And that as long as I continue to be obedient in following the will and the way of God outside of the workplace, that is when all the things that I desire will be added. That is when all the things that I desire will be removed. That is when all the things that I desire will come to me in due time as a byproduct of following the will and way of God. But it's not about worrying about the things first. It's about being aligned first. And it's about trusting that where you have been planted, trusting that where you have been guided, trusting that where God has led you to, you're right on time. It took me 5 years to consistently start posting on YouTube. And I've always wanted to do YouTube. Besides my written blog, I've always wanted to do YouTube. And I wanted to do YouTube in the sense of, I just always thought YouTubers were cool. When I was younger, I was always sitting there watching YouTube and enjoying it. I ain't gonna lie. I always thought YouTubers were cool. I thought it was like dope how you could just be yourself in whatever way that looks like and earn a living for it just because people find you interesting. And me, I grew up heavily on like the comedy side of YouTube, and that's why I always thought YouTubers were cool too, until I got older and I expanded my horizons a bit more. But that was always something that interested me, just seeing people's creativity shine, and it not having to be this big celebrity. It could be the random group from your local college. I remember Dormtainment was like, grew up on that. Or it could just be other creators that just had a specific skill, like Alyssa Ashley with her makeup. Different people just being them and creating lanes for themselves in such a beautiful way. But I knew that it always started with the day one. And I didn't want to honor my day one. I just wanted to go to day 100, day 350, day 700. And I didn't even start at day one yet. And God has said to me in this time period, honor your day one, honor your day two, honor your day three, honor your day four. This ain't a quick pop. This is a slow burn. And it's going to happen in due time. And people are going to see you and resonate with you that are meant to. And we're going to shift the world together. So that's the overall message of the mindset shift that I went through on becoming more dedicated and more focused to the purpose of why I'm showing up here rather than just what showing up here could potentially offer me. Because I've learned to have contentment within myself. And I've learned that when your heart is really in the right place, it's about how you can serve. Not about how you can just take and earn and get. It ain't about just what you can become solely. It's about what you can give. So that's all I wanted to share with you. Keep that in mind. It's about what you can give. And when you realize that you have so much to give, you'll realize that it's not about just that instant gratification, but it's about that tending to your garden, taking your time, trusting the process, moving with intention, and everything that you're looking for to have. God will add these things. This is a lengthy one, so if you stuck around for this long, I truly appreciate you. It's your girl Taisha P. Later, y'all.